I'm going to do a quick video on some of the shrubs that I've got up here at Grassy Bottom. I'm not going to go into too much detail about them because I want to keep this one as short as I can. So this one here is an Elaeagnus, and it's called Elaeagnus Quicksilver. Quite a fast growing shrub that kind of forms a pyramidal shape over time. It can reach 3 meters high and by the same width. But I really like this one because it has a lovely silvery look to the leaf. Hence its name Quicksilver, as you can see there. Now it is a baby. I got this off a friend and it was literally a twig when I got it, and I've already had to do some sort of pruning with it to get the initial shape going because it was all over. I shall continue to do that as well. I shall continue to control it rather than just leave it to its own devices, because it'll go into places I don't want it to go. The idea of it being there is just to form me a little tunnel, which is what I like doing with all these types of shrubs. I like them to grow, and then it should go, let me show you with my finger, it'll go like that, up in the air and over towards the tree there, and I shall try to keep it so that we've got a little tunnel through it. So I'll walk through the garden as we describe some of the shrubs, and we'll see what's going on. And we're not far now off of May, but you wouldn't think so when you feel the heat. It's absolutely freezing again today. This is Rosa rugosa, and I'm going to class this as a shrub because it is really, and it makes a lovely hedge as well. If you want a hedge that's got a lovely scent to it, Rosa rugosa is a good choice for that because the flowers are heavily scented. So once it's flowered, cut it, reform the shape you want, and then over time you can make that more of a hedging plant or just a shrub as I've got it here. But it does make a good hedge. Obviously you're going to need more. You're going to need more of those if you want it to be a hedge. But it is a nice one. This particular form is a reddy pink flower, and there is a white form as well, but that is a red form. And it's Chamasia season. Here we are. This is Chamasia lectulinii and Caerulea, and I do really, I mean, I like everything I've got in this garden, but this colour at the moment is amazing. It's more of a bluey purple colour, and I like the dark stems. So it has these deep suffused, I would say they're more of a, I don't know, really deep green. I like to say blue, but they're more a green, deep green, as you can see from there. And it's wonderful. I just wish I had more of these plants. I have got some just across there, and I've got some further up the garden as well. Just not got enough of them. So this is the Calamagrostis acutiflora Carl Forster border, and it's really growing away now, as I expected. And it's doing well. And over time, that'll come into its own. And this one's called Arbutus unido, and it's the strawberry tree. And you can see from the picture there what it's likely to produce. This is likely to make 6 by 6 foot, and it's called the strawberry tree, but I think really it's more of a shrub. But it has these lovely coloured leaves at this time of year. They're excellent. And looking at it, I'm not 100% sure whether I need to just move that slightly to the right by about maybe 1.5 foot, because what I don't want is it to come across this path too much. And it will do that, because remember, it's 3 foot, so the 3 foot would go to halfway across that path. So probably I need to move it across there, and I'm going to do that. I'm not going to be afraid of that. It's an evergreen. It'll respond quite well. And this is Viburnum davidi, a taller version, and we've had many discussions about this one, and I'm still convinced that that is just a seed raised one that's just got a little bit bigger than the rest, because they're not supposed to get very big. 1.4 is probably all it should do, and it's starting to flower, and I can't remember whether that's got a scent to it. It's not fully open yet, so I can't really tell. Yeah, I've had a little bit of a sniff, and there is a little bit of a scent there actually, so I just can't remember from one year to the next. I forget. So we'll carry on down this section here. Remember, this is another section that I built last year. It's now got some roses growing up. Look at that rose. That's great, that one. That's going to look fantastic. And this is Rosa Lilac Bouquet. And I've done it so it grows between those pillars. And I was looking at that earlier from the house, and I think I might have to put some sort of a string across here. So we'll go from here across to the other post, and we'll just bring that back in so that it doesn't come onto that path too much. And we'll see what happens. So this is all looking good. This is the cloister pergola, and it's looking really good actually. Things are growing quite nicely now and growing up the support, which is what the intention was. So that's good. I think it's time I gave that a bit of a scrub. I think we're about there now. I try never to scrub that bark down too early, because if we get the damp weather again, it tends to green up again, and I want that to be a pure white bark, which it will be, and it will naturally peel and become that white again over time, and I wouldn't have to bother, but it's in my garden, I want it to look nice, so I shall do that. So, move this way. This is Pittosporum garnettii, and I've been trimming it up because I want it to be more of a showy shrub, and I want it to have less at the base, so less leaves at the base, as you can see I'm doing there. So it's taken a bit of a while, and Pittosporums can look good just as a fully leaved up shrub from the base, and really I could have just left it alone, but I like them to look a bit more interesting, so I've been trimming it up and lifting its skirt. But it's a real nice one to have. The only problem with all Pittosporums really is that they are a bit susceptible to the cold, so they won't tolerate too cold a temperature for a long length of time, and I'm talking -10, -20 to be honest with you. I'm sure it can take quite cold conditions, and it has done here. We'll move on to this one. This one's great, and I class this as a small tree, but it can be a shrub as well. This is Corylus avellana contorta, and I've done plenty of YouTubes on this one. But if you do have this one, I would clip all the base of this. Once it gets going, clip the base and get it up, get it lifted, get the skirt lifted, because that's what you've got to look forward to if you do. And there are so many people that just don't. They just leave it as a shrub. But that's what you should be having, that. I was fortunate really, because when I got here, this was already quite a large shrub. I'll have to stand back here just to show you how tall that is. That's about 15 foot, I'd say. It's at its ultimate height. It might go up a little bit, but it's practically at its ultimate height now. And I can't see it making much more. And it's just about to leaf up. And it has little catkins, a bit like silver birch, that'll drop down. Has it already done it? No, they're just forming now. So very soon they'll start dropping. And they'll look nice. And by dropping, I mean they will just drop down from where they are and form about maybe 1.5 to 2 inch catkin. So that'd be really nice, that. And then we get this. This is what I warn people about. All this new growth just has to be brushed off. But you must come round at this time of year and just simply brush it off, get rid of it. You don't want this, because what it's going to do is it's just going to reform a shrub, which is not the intention that I wanted. I wanted it to be this. And it does look nice. The pond, I still haven't got around to cleaning the pond out, as you can see from there. And I've discovered that one of my cats is actually going into that pond. He's come in a couple of times wet, and I've noticed that some of the gravel is sliding down, so he's been messing around in that. But we'll forgive him. So that's Rheum palmatum tanguticum, and I love it. I won't go too much into this one yet, but it is starting to send its flower up, and that is quite nice looking. This is the boardwalk border. Everything's looking good in here. The growth this year is amazing. It's coming on so quick. The only downside to borders coming on quick at the beginning of the year is, by the very nature, they're going to actually die away a bit quicker towards the end of the year. So I suspect that it won't be long lived. So I'd expect November time before things really start dying back. But I suspect, committing this to camera, that we may lose them a bit before then. But it'd be okay. Now, that shrub there is a Philadelphus, or a mock orange, and it's very scrappy. I was going to remove that, but the scent is so beautiful on that, or so scented, that I don't want to. I keep it because it reminds Kathy of her grandmother. Don't ask me why, I do not know. I can't imagine her grandmother smelled like that. Maybe she had this one in her garden as well. And the flower is quite pretty actually, so it's quite nice, but very heavily scented. This is a shrub as well. This is a good shrub to get, and I'd definitely recommend this one. And this is an hydrangea, and it's one of the oak-leaved hydrangeas. And it's called quercifolia. And you can see why. I don't need to tell you why it's called the oak leaf. It's obvious in it. Look at that. It is really nice. And there's only certain hydrangeas that I like. I don't like blousy hydrangeas. I like this type. And they're really nice. So that's going to make quite a tall shrub, I would say. I reckon that's going to make 8 foot. And people don't realise that quercifolia can make that sort of size, but it can. It can be huge. I suspect by the time it's finished growing, it'll grow up that post there, that downpipe, probably to the top section of it by the time it's finished. And I will control it as it grows. I will keep it clipped to where I want it. I won't let it become unkempt. I absolutely love, and this one's called Viburnum ritidiphyllum, and it gets quite tall, very tall actually, probably 15 foot itself. And it's just about to flower, and I love these flowers, absolutely love them. They're not open yet. We'll show you these again at another time when they do open, and that's about a week and a half to 2 weeks away yet. We're a little bit early. But it's a great viburnum, and when we had some snow some time back, I can't remember what the year was, the only viburnum that I saw come through unscathed was this one. It was -17, and the only one I saw without any problems was Viburnum ritidiphyllum. That was in a previous garden that I had. Every other viburnum got knocked, and I lost quite a few, to be quite honest, but ritidiphyllum remained. Now with ritidiphyllum, you're going to get this. All evergreens need to lose leaves at some point, and this is the point when they're starting to shed them. And I like to come along and just simply take them off because they're so easy to remove. I'll show you, but it will drop them itself. You don't need to do this. I do this because I'm a bit of a geek, and I like to keep it clean, and I take them off. But once they get a bit further on, the paler looking ones, we get some winds, they'll just fall off. The winds will blow them off, but I enjoy it. Bit of therapy, innit? Look at that. Just pulls off. God, I love it. I'd probably be careful here because I'm probably going to spend too much time doing this. And I just throw them onto the garden. Just leave them there. I just leaf them there. Pun intended. Now, this is another viburnum. This one's Viburnum tinus, and it's one called Eve Price. Now, this does have a bit of a scent. Let's have a smell. Yeah, it's there, but only just. And it's not a heavy scent. It's quite a light scent, but it's a nice one. Eve Price will only make about 4 to 5 foot. And it is susceptible to viburnum beetle. So all those little bits there that you can see with the holes in there is viburnum beetle. And if you're going to get on top of that, you need to start treating now in April and May and spray it, because you're going to find these slug-like little creatures on the back, which I can't see any yet, but you'll come out on certain days and they will be there. They will be there munching away at these leaves. But over time, as it gets more mature, it can defeat them itself without any intervention from yourselves. And this area is looking great now. This is the owl border for obvious reasons. That grass is looking fantastic. I'm sure you all know what it's called. I've named it that many times in other videos, but I'm not going to name it for you today. This border's looking fantastic. That's great. So it's not a video about trees, but I want to show you this. This is Sorbus Leonard Messel, and I do really, really like this one. As I say, I like everything that I grow. Obviously, I also won't put them in. But Leonard Messel is really nice. It has a lovely leaf, a big leaf once they get going, as you can see. And I got this from the Lake District. I had it in the previous garden, but left it where it was in the previous garden. And then Kathy managed to spot it in Larch Cottage Nurseries up there. And now it's doing really well. And it is a very small one indeed. I can't remember how big this gets. I'll check it up and put it on the screen. But it's not a very big one if memory serves me right. And it's a slow grower, so it'll be fine. So we'll go through to the nook and we'll see what we got in here. And we've got some nice ones in here, actually. This one here is a Lonicera, and it was here when I came. And I mentioned this from time to time on some of my videos. And it was literally a twig when I got here. There was probably 3 little pieces growing. It's now 4 foot, 4 years in. Quite a fast-growing shrub. Makes a great edge, actually. And it's one called Bagginson's Gold. So it's Lonicera nitida Bagginson's Gold. Very quick to grow, as I said. And you can take cuttings off this. You can get them from them. Them little stalky bits there. Simply cut them off. Strip back the leaves. Stick them in some sort of medium. And you should very, very quickly have them rooting. Now this is here because I'm wanting it to disguise the nook a little bit more, and I'm going to allow that to get up to probably as high as the holly behind it, should it get there. So if you don't clip it regularly, it will end up becoming a weak, floppy shrub. And I've got another little one here that a friend gave me, a little one there. It's yet to grow, but it will cover the rest of this area better than just having the one. So that's looking nice. Oh, look, typical me this. Look, left tools out, left my ladder out here. I like sitting in here because nobody knows I'm here. And as you can see from that, it's such a nice area to sit. That euphorbia is still doing well. And this is another viburnum. This one's called Viburnum cinnamomifolium. Gets to about 8 foot by 8 foot. And I wanted it to be in this corner to give me more soundproofing, because we've got the road next to it. Just over that edge is the road. And I wanted that to give me a little bit more soundproofing. Not that it will give me 100% soundproofing, but it'll help to reduce the sound. And that's doing really well there. It was a very small plant when I bought it. Hard to get hold of. I had to shop around to find that one. Typical looking viburnum and flowering well. This is doing exceptionally well now. And this is actually a tree. It's Areobotria japonica. And although it's japonica and should come from Japan, it actually comes from China, which is a bit confusing for me. But nevertheless, it is a beauty. Now, it is a tree over there, but over here it'll be no more than a shrub, because we haven't really got the conditions it likes. But looking at it this year, I don't know. Now, this was given to me by a friend who got it from someone who'd grown them from the seeds. You can get these in supermarkets, and it's called the loquat tree, and you can grow the seeds, and they can become quite hardy apparently in the area that they're in, and that's doing really well. Really well. I never expected it to do this well, but I have put it into a good area, a very good area, for it to do that. So there you go, you can see we get a lot of traffic here, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to have more plants in this area, just to take away a little bit of that noise. Not that I mind it, I don't mind it. Ferns are looking good now. I've said before I want more ferns in this area. I've not got enough by half. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 ferns in this area. But these ferns will grow quite tall, especially this one. I think this one's Dryopteris affinis the king. And then I've got other ones, which is Roadbuster. Some other ones down there, and one behind the tree, tucked behind the tree. But that's great. Just love it. Absolutely love it. So, we'll move on out of the nook and see what else we've got. So this is another viburnum. Viburnum bodnantens. It's deciduous, so it loses its leaves in the winter time, and then it comes back very early, well, sort of from September onwards really, into October, it will start sending out flowers, and they will continue right through to spring. And it varies in different places. It depends where you are. But a very nice one to have. And while we're down here, let's go and look at this other viburnum. So this is Viburnum David, and there's 3 plants there, very low growing, as it should do. This is the true form of Viburnum David, and that's what I'd expect to see. Now, I have other ones, as I showed earlier, that appear to be too tall, growing too tall, and I'm sure they're seed raised that have come, and they're not supposed to get that tall, but some of them do. There's another one there against the wall. That, again, that's 4 years old. In fact, that's 6 years old. But it's been in this garden for 4 years, so that's doing well. While we're here, let's take a look at the elder. I guess technically that's a shrub. Can be a small tree, and that's a really nice one. It's not got to where it wants to be yet. It's actually producing its leaves now. Dark leaves, as you can see, and that one's called Black Tower. And it's always in my videos because it is such a good plant. We're in the cloister pergola at the minute, and you can see the roses. There you go. It's starting to do what I wanted. They're starting to clothe the back there. And then the side, we've got clematises going up here, which is nice. And then we got this rose here, and this is by far one of the most elfy roses I've ever had. And I guess roses could be classed as shrubs, but we won't include them in this video because I really wanted you to see other shrubs. So that one's called Starlight Symphony, but look it up. It's probably the most elfy rose I've ever grown. Never seems to suffer from anything. And it's a white rose, and it's scented. So we'll wander back up here. So we're walking up to the telegraph pole pergola walk and up and through it and see what's going on up here. Everything's doing well, as I said. Everything's doing well. And I guess the only shrubs I can talk about here is this, Buxus sempervirens. I've been adding to it again, as you know, since we've made the changes. So that's to join up to that. And there you go again. And I now do a short talk on a Wednesday, every third Wednesday on BBC Radio Lincolnshire, and I discussed this one today and told the anchor person that I cut them as a pyramid, a pyramidal, and that's what it is. But it is a shrub as well, as you can see. There's a shrub. So I'm going to make these look like, well, like kind of clouds, cloud formations. I'm going to make them all join into each other, and you can see already they're doing really well. Now, I did buy these as quite mature specimens, and they are now knitting into each other, which is fantastic. And I will form them, shape them, make them join each other, and it'll be lumpy. That's the best way to describe it. And I'm going to allow them to grow into the left-hand side there on that one. And then the two over there will form another couple of dumplings that will be allowed to join. The one further up near the window in the background, that'll just be kept as a shape. We'll leave that one alone. I often overlook this one. This one's called Pittosporum Tom Thumb. And as you can see, it has this really, really dark leaf. And then the new leaf is that colour. It's a green. It's fantastic. I love it. It has this lovely sort of, what would that be? A pudding shape. A plum pudding shape. Let's give it that name. And it's fantastic. I love it. It's a little bit more tender than a lot of the other Pittosporums, but all of them are tender to a degree. But this one can be a little bit more tender. But it's been here 4 years, and he's doing absolutely excellently. So there you go. I don't think there's a lot more that I can really talk about. So we'll just carry on the walk up to here and show you these while we're here. Oh, hang on a minute. We've got another one. Here we go. Here we go. I really like this one as well. And it's a Cuba japonica crotonifolia. And it has those leaves there. They look great. As opposed to that, the leaf on the left is more like your variegated form, whereas on the right, that's crotonifolia, but it is all crotonifolia. I just wanted you to see that variegated tends to be a bit more like the left-hand side. That's wonderful. And that's definitely one for a shady area, and it takes dry once established. And this is under a tree, so it's doing really well. But I wanted you to see those. They look absolutely fantastic. The shuttlecock ferns. Just want you to see them at this point. They're still immature ferns. They're not as big as I want them. Another 2 or 3 years, they're going to be up to 4 foot. They're going to look fantastic. And I shall allow them to spread around because they are stoloniferous. So that means they're run by stolons, and then you'll find them all over the place. Like there's one there, and then this will produce little ones, and they're there from the main plant. But they're beautiful. So there are other shrubs up here at Grassy Bottom, but I don't want to make the video too long, to be quite honest, so we'll keep it short like that. And I know a lot more people would be more interested in seeing what's going on, and it's developing nicely. It is developing nicely. I just love this telegraph pole pergola walk. I just absolutely love it. It's really worked, and I like the door now on the nook, because the other one, remember, was a lovely shape, but it was so heavy it was pulling down that structure. It was moving it to the left as we look at it, whereas now that's a very lightweight door, so that does the trick now. So I think for now that's enough about shrubs, so we'll end it there. And that's just a few of the shrubs that I have up at Grassy Bottom. And I only put them in here because I consider them good doers. I like them. Not everybody's going to like them, but I like them. So they're quite nice. So while you're in your garden centre, nip in and have a look. See if you can find any of the ones I've mentioned. And if you do have questions on them, just fire me a question. I don't mind answering them. And giving you the best advice on the ones that I've got and how they do up here. So I'll talk to you on the next one. Ta-da!